To improve our warnings, we issue these warnings. We need to know whether or not what we're doing is accurate. Are we being accurate? Are there things that we could have done better? We maintain official records. They're entered into storm data. It's our official publication from the National Weather Service. And we notify all the interested parties, whether that's our partners, the media, and the affected communities and surrounding communities. Structure's response to wind. So we're looking at the type of structure. We're looking at the design of the structure, age, shape, how it was put together. We're looking at, how was it bolted together? How was it strapped? How was it connected to the foundation? The orientation of the object to the wind. So really, we turn into like CSI meteorology or something. What would you call it? Y'all come up with a cooler name than that. Because we have to really be out there, and it's not just about, okay, tornado came across, hit this thing, and move on. We really have to dive into, well, how did this happen? Tornado came this way, winds were trying to get in this way. We're looking for clues to let us know how it occurred. Duration, gustiness of the wind, and the things that the tornado is throwing around. All about structural integrity. Most structures are built similarly, but like I said before, it's about those connectors. How is it connected to the foundation? Different things like that. Garage doors, typically, especially on November 17th, you could imagine how many garage doors we saw that was the weak link. That was the way the winds got in. And different materials vary in strength. That's obvious. Bolts and straps, house to foundation, sill to walls, wall to roof. This was back in 2004 here in Lafayette. As you can see, roof is gone here, but walls still up and attached to the foundation. The best, you got this bolt with washer and everything. It's the best. You got a few nails here. That's poor. Then you have nothing. So it's really about how it's anchored to that foundation. So these are things that we are looking at. So why was the EF scale created? Well, we needed more damage indicators. We needed more things that we were going to go out and look at that we can assess for damage and then come up with what we think the winds were. Recalibration of the winds that were associated with the previous F scale, those were recalibrated for the damage with the EF scale. Better correlate the wind and the rating, and then the big thing, accounting for construction variability. That's why when we go out, we're really taking time looking at how the structure that was hit was built. Damage indicators, we have 28 damage indicators from houses to mobile homes to retail buildings to hard and softwood trees, power poles, you name it. We typically have it. Then after we find out, well, what kind of damage we're looking at, we have different degrees of damage on that particular indicator. After that, we are given, or you can see kind of what the range is for the winds with that particular degree of damage. This was November 17th in Kokomo. It was rated an EF2. As you can see here, I think this was kind of more an aluminum type barn, but notice, roof still connected here, just the walls collapsed around it. It was mainly in its entirety except for that gaping hole in between. But notice, like I told you before, the walls collapsed. Not really much here in the way of anchoring to that foundation. Oh, I was on this damage survey. So, I have a couple stories, real quick. I know you guys are tired of hearing my stories, but this gentleman right here, you see him better in those two pictures. He's the owner of the house. Him and his family, they were home. He was out at the window, like my guy here, looking. No, who was it? No, it was you. He was at the window, he was looking, and right before it hit, he tried to dive downstairs. As he's going downstairs, he's having to physically pull himself down the stairs. He is being almost sucked out. This is the story he gave me. He's being pulled out, and then a few seconds later, he gets this violent shove down into the ground, into the basement. He was fine. His family was fine. Comes out, roof is gone. these two little bins just sitting there, untouched, just sitting there. You know what's in these bins? How would you know? I'm going to tell you. Baby clothes. And he said, well, maybe somebody's trying to tell us that we need to have another one. And so these baby clothes were sitting here. Baby clothes, I have a few. I have 3. I guess I shouldn't say a few. I have 3. So I know how much baby clothes weigh, and they're really not that much. So for this EF2 tornado to come through, take the roof off, leave these baby clothes, there were stories like that all over during November 17th outbreak as we were going to do some of these damage surveys. This is Vost Alpine plant near here. EF3 was assigned to it. These particular trailers were filled with things, very heavy. One was moved across into another and kind of squished one in between. There was, let me show you, this here was actually a crane that has been twisted and folded over on itself. Some of the other things that we like to look for while we're out is splatter. So there's quite a bit of splatter here on this fence, and that can kind of give you an indication. One of the things we like to look for, especially when we're trying to make the determination between strong straight line wind and tornado, is this splatter. And so when we have an idea of where maybe the track might be, we're looking at splatter on certain sides of the house to give us an indication of whether or not we may have a tornado. The Subaru plant, we actually got to go inside, see all the funky little gadgets they have creating cars, and it's actually pretty cool. But this particular car was inside the plant, right next to a cinder block wall. Tornado comes through. They actually have a little bit of video of it, and it's actually pretty cool. But this cinder block wall falls on top of this car. Guy gets in afterwards, turns it on, drives it out. So if you ever want a reliable car, I told Subaru I would do that. So warning verification, how well did we do? Obviously, you want your probability of detection to be up there, your false alarm rates. This is a problem with you know, sometimes warning across this particular area. Now on November 17th, it was a slam dunk. We knew storms were going to rotate. We knew there were possibly going to be tornadoes. That doesn't happen all the time. A lot of the tornadoes, as I mentioned earlier, pretty weak, very short-lived. Sometimes we don't even see them on radar. So, false alarm rate, where do you find that balance between putting out a warning for something that you think is going to tornado, but it may hit for a second and no one ever hears about it, or it may not? So these are some of the issues that we have to deal with at the National Weather Service, because if you warn too much, what are you going to do? No, you do it anyway. I see it in your face. You're like, I don't worry about y'all's warnings. But yeah, you either are overreact to the whole deal, or you don't care about them at all. Somebody issues a warning, you're like, oh, they issued a warning before. Nothing happened. Worst thing you can do is say, oh, it happened, but nothing happened. It's the worst thing you can do. Always have a plan, know when to put it into motion. As I mentioned before, the strongest storm of the day was out in Illinois. EF4 went through Washington, Illinois. Washington is here. This is Chicago, miles away. This stuff found near Romeoville in Chicago from Washington, carried by the storm there hundreds of miles away to Washington. This is some of the aftermath. As you can see, the path as it goes along through Washington. And this was the video that I was discussing earlier. There's a little bit of foul language, but it gives you a really strong indication of what the human aspect of why we do what we do at the National Weather Service. Maybe we have to wait until after Jason's part. Yeah. Where we at on that one, Jason?
What's that?
Good answer. All right, we'll wait till after Jason's done, and we'll come back to it. I give to you Jason.